Brilliant. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the physical mobility sitting behind me and the virtual mobilities who are out there on Zoom. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Simon Roper, and I'm a representative of Ambios from the UK. I'm one of the project partners in Shoutout4sdgs, which is the project that you've all joined, supported by Erasmus+, where we've been investigating the story of Cork Oak. And that story has a resonance with the Sustainable Development Goals. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about that in a few minutes when we ask the team here to talk to you about it. So for the virtual mobilities, sitting at in your respective countries, welcome and thank you for joining us. Thank you for showing an interest in the project. What we'd like to do today is to talk you through the story of Cork Oak. And because we want to move on to ask you to help us disseminate some information about the project, to promote the project. So we're going to ask you, the virtual trainees, to think about how you might disseminate things and when you might do it, and to work with your fellow in-country physical mobilities on the content of that particular dissemination. So we'll be talking about the Cork Oak story, and then you'll be deciding together with your colleagues from the same country what it is that you would like to disseminate and what medium you would like to use, how you would like to do that. So that might be a social media platform, it might be through a university newsletter, it could be some sort of PDF file. I don't want to judge that, that's up to you guys to decide. You might use a particular social media platform. The key thing is that it's promoting our message of actually explicitly linking the SDGs to activities like the production of cork, and furthermore, possibly activities that are happening in your modules. Maybe there are some modules you're studying where you see the links. And if you see those links and you can help us to promote them, then that would be fantastic. So the first part of this webinar is we're going to hand you over to a series of speakers who are going to talk to you briefly about the story of Cork Oak and how that story unfolds. There are 5 separate parts to the story, and each person's going to talk to you for a few minutes about the different parts of the story of Cork Oak. While that's happening, you'll see some visuals rolling through. You'll see some slides going through. There you go, that's SDG 1. And they will fit into the story as we move through. So I'm going to ask Enrico to come, and I'm going to swap places, and he's going to talk you through the first part of the story, which is about the biodiversity associated with Cork Oak Forest. Enrico? Yeah.
So I can start?
Yeah.
With my team, we will talk about ecosystem. Basically, we divide the topic in a hierarchical order, with Montado first, then Cork Oak tree, and then ecosystem services. So starting with Montado, we have to mention that this area is with high biodiversity, considered a hotspot regarding to the Mediterranean ecosystem. I have some data, 200 animals and 135 plant species by kilometer square. So this is very high biodiversity considering a Mediterranean ecosystem. Then my main ecosystem means that historically the Cork Oak was historically in that place, but the people start to manage the density, harvesting, and doing some management historically. Then there is a main tree species around, like we have pine eucalyptus, but it's not so successful because the people need to wait for long rotation and they have to cut the tree at the end of the rotation, so they prefer to work more with cork. And then we have fragmented habitats that allow to exist different habitat for different species. That is very important. And the point 2, Cork Oak tree is basically the management for this specific tree. So the bark is harvested every 9 years. The rotation of this tree is 25 but the first harvest is not good in quality, so we need to wait for the next harvesting period. And the park regenerates after every harvest. And normally the trees can live 300 years old, so it's very sustainable. And about ecosystem services, we have some control pests. That means that there are some birds that eat some insects, that the insect normally creates some damage in the wood. They start to create some holes. Then we have pollination for the bee, that they produce honey. The good thing to keep these trees and not cutting is we combat erosion and desertification. It's very important to keep the soils. And we have also pasture and hunting, game management, that is considered another ecosystem service. So this is basically regarding to ecosystems. I don't know if I had to invite the.
That's good. Yeah, let's go. Next person. Yeah.
So I'm going to explain about the social benefits that Montados and the whole cork oak industry provides. So firstly, it provides a diverse range of jobs. For example, in the Montado itself, you can have beekeeping, forest management, livestock farming, etc. And these jobs, because they're local, they create a good sense of a local community. They're also often well paid. For example, harvesting of cork oak is one of the best paid agricultural jobs because it's very skilled and it can only be done by hand. In the wider industry, there are jobs in the factories where the cork is made into products, and there are also jobs within universities for research and design. The Montado itself provides many benefits for society in the form of commodities such as food like milk, meat, honey. You also have the cork and pine nuts. There are other social benefits in the form of recreation, for example, hiking, hunting, and bird watching. Montados also have traditions associated with them which have great cultural value. So for example, it's traditional in Portugal to harvest the mushrooms within the Montados. They can also provide a good environment for communities to flourish in areas which would otherwise be very inhospitable. So for example, along the edges of the Sahara Desert, communities are able to flourish where there are Montado ecosystems. And finally, the Montado aids the wider global community because it acts as a carbon sink for carbon dioxide, which helps to combat climate change.
Thank you.
Hello, nice to see you here. So I'm going to share you some of our team knowledge study from here about the economy side. This is a really long-term investment from the cork industry, as it's from the harvest point of view and it provides a lot of opportunities from economic point of view in the whole industry, crossing the job opportunities since harvesting to the transport and also the factory production lines. So, and besides of that, and the whole ecosystem is providing very rich ecosystem service from the food products to the and other non-market goods values as well, also create very special landscape in this region. So can bring the tourism opportunities in here, which is creating another economic value and also the job opportunities in this way. And another very important thing, of course, is products from the cork. So as we learned from before, it's a long-term investment, and also the harvesting takes really long time. So from the first and the second harvesting, the cork is harvested, produced as some products like furnitures and architectures, and surprisingly, it can use for the oil spills in the oceans as well. So, after that, the third harvest, after another 9 years, it can produce. It finally can be used as white cork. So the values of white cork each is start from 30 cents to 3 euros. So they can. And we visit one of the companies, Amrims, which is one of the biggest company in the Portugal here, producing the wine corks. They have 12 billion bottles of wine in the world, and they're producing almost half of the wine corks from this factory. So if you can find the company's profile, you can know more information about it. So it's the white, not just the white cork, and the other white cork products can be recycled again. So it's basically it's a product from the beginning to the end, and it can be back to use again. So it's sort of like a circular economy, which is now promoting our society. So it's a very interesting wood product. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi to everybody. Now I'm talking about vulnerability and problems linked to the Montado ecosystem and cork system. We found some problems about the invasive species. There is one fungus. His name is yellow fungus, I think, and it causes problems to the production, and it damaged the cork. And also another problem is the climate change, because Montado is a very thirsty ecosystem, and there in these last years it rained less rain. There is less rain, and also it caused the less production, the reduction of the number of bees that are fundamental for this ecosystem to increase biodiversity and to the honey production. And also it is a problem. And also another problem is money over environment. Yesterday we visit an important cork company, and a problem could be if there is competition between different cork companies and they need more cork, is that the environment could sustain the request of cork, and is one of the problem, because there are some researches, but not enough to understand if that system is sustainable. Sorry. Another problem could be the digitalization, because money or competition makes a company more aggressive. It's not the right term, but they can substitute machine by men by machines, and also this land, this territory. The cork company is fundamental for the people that lives here, also with the tradition, and also to sustain that type of the life here. And another problem that we found is that the cork, nobody knows about the cork story, and nobody not everybody know about the cork story. And if you don't know that story, you can't understand this land, and also you can improve this sustainable management. And also to increase the cork production, or to increase the sustainable management of the cork, you have to do more research and more research. I think it's enough. Sorry.
So, hi everyone. Now I'm talking about the difference. Hi everyone. Now I'm talking about the different solutions and actions that we saw today. I summarize in 5 different main points. So first of all, we talk about the importance of the recycle of the cork oak. So, for example, we collect the cork and after we can sell this production in these products in, for example, in university shop or in a touristic place. And also, this topic of the recycling is connected with we can talk, for example, with restaurant owners to make a recycling plan for corks. So we thought this is very important. For the second is create in university different talks on campus, like TED Talks, and to share knowledge and experience, because this experience that we are doing here in Perugia. And third, make a sort of business or startup or networks with the different stakeholders. So I mean the owners or the farmers of the cork oak. And for fourth, we talked about the cork oak production and connecting with the educational programs. So create with, for example, Erasmus exchange, a sort of volunteer for learning traditional skills connected with the cork oak, and or for example, organize debates about sustainable products. And also, we talk about the importance of the research and the development for the monitoring method and study different technique and to improve our knowledge about the cork oak. And finally, we talk about how to improve the local producers. So we thought that we can create a sort of cooperative with the different owners to have a more just market. So that's.
Okay, just catching up. Brilliant. Thank you very much, team. Thank you. All done. Okay, excellent. So thank you for that. Thank you, team here. So can I just go out? We've still got all our virtual team with us. We're just checking. Yeah. Okay. Everybody's with us. So I hope you've got an essence of the cork oak industry from those descriptions. There's more information on the Moodle learning environment as well to go and visit. And the rest of this webinar really is about setting up the links between you as the virtual trainees and your in-country counterparts here, so that you can be in contact, probably most easily by email, to think about what messages from this story that you've heard you can help disseminate in your universities or in your local communities, and how that might happen. Okay, so this is part of an ongoing story that we will be in touch with you, and I hope you'll be in touch with us between now and Christmas to achieve this. So a little bit of thinking for you is, how might you disseminate some of the information that you've heard, and what platform might you use for that? How might you do it? You might write a blog. I'm not sure. You might write a blog. You might be on Instagram. You might be on Facebook, Snapchat. You know, the list is endless. So it depends. It's up to you, and it depends on your social network and how you think you could help best. So, and then the second question really is, of the story of Cork that you've heard, can you think of any links to a module in the university that you've just done or did some time ago or might be going to do in the future? Just interested in exploring that link, okay? And where we can get a link, that's great. We can then talk about it. We don't have to have the link. I'm just, again, sowing it as a seed, as an acorn that might grow into a tree, okay? That's a good parallel with the project, isn't it? Yeah? Okay. So, can I ask virtual trainees if there are any questions that come, any thoughts, and can you share those? And I assume, I don't know whether that be by voice or in chat, because I'm not sure how the webinar is going to take that forward. Do we have any indication? In voice, okay, so it's in voice. So we understand that if you have any questions, you know, you can speak those questions and then we'll attempt to answer them as best we can.
Not yet for me.
Okay, no question. Okay, you're happy, clear? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm also clear myself on everything that was talked about. It was very interesting. So thank you ever so much for sharing it. Very interesting.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Other trainees, yeah.
I had a question because I didn't actually understand how can cork oak be recycled.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
didn't understand
really
that one.
Yeah, we've been asking that ourselves here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Gee, anybody got? How would you answer that? How can cork be recycled?
If you're here in Portugal or in a country that produces cork, you can.
Can I ask you?
I
Can we
can't
just
listen.
So you
Yeah.
can't, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. Yeah.
If you're in a country that produces cork, you can try and give it to the factories. The cork that you don't use anymore, you can try to give it to the factories, because they can reuse it to fuel, for example, to create steam for energy, and maybe reuse it in other ways.
That's great. Yeah. Okay, so it's a really good question, and I'm certainly heading back to the UK to ask that question. And I think, you know, we all go to that particular online environment, don't we, when we have a question? Google.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I'm heading with that. You know, how do we recycle?
Okay.
I think the interesting thing that came up in discussion earlier from the team was that if you could find a way of recycling, what are the processes then for collecting the cork? And maybe that's where students come in. Because maybe some students could help collect some cork and could then feed into that recycling process. But we need to understand if that exists and how it works, because I'm not clear on that at all. And I came here with exactly the same question. How do you recycle? And it's unclear, and it looks like it's different in different countries.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. All right, fantastic. Well, that's really good. Thank you ever so much for being here. This will be a recording that will be available on the Moodle site as well, if you need to refresh your memory, together with the other materials. And as you're probably aware, the project has more mobilities coming up in 2020. And you now, because you have very kindly engaged with the project at this stage, you know, will be actively considered, if you wish to be, for a mobility to Hungary next year. Happy to do that. In the meantime, we'll be in touch with you. We'll probably do an email that will copy you and the physical team into one group, so that you can take forward this discussion of how would you disseminate, what would you disseminate, which bit of the story would you like to tell? And then as that goes out through your system, whatever that is, we will then pick up on that through our social media systems or through our communication systems, yeah? So if you decide that you do a blog, you want to write a little bit about it, you know, and maybe the team here can provide you with some photographs. If you let us know then that that's gone out through a blog, then we'll link to that blog and we'll actively promote that blog, yeah? So that's just one example, and I'm sure you're very familiar with, you know, the way in which social media can be amplified. So we're interested in promoting the message. So with anything that we do, we're using the hashtag Shoutout4sdgs, yeah, and hashtag Erasmus+, bless them, because they've given us the money to make it all happen. So there you go, promo for Erasmus+. Thank you very much. Okay, we won't take any more of your time. I think that's good, unless the team here can think of anything else. We're kind of good. Thank you for joining us. And as I say, the recording will be available. You can watch it on Dave later. As I say in the UK. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.